Okay, let's dive in. We're looking today at Judges chapter 18.
Right, and this chapter really plunges us into that specific time in ancient Israel. The period famously summed up by that line, Israel had no king.
That phrase just hangs over everything, doesn't it? It sort of sets the stage for, well, for potential chaos, really.
Exactly. It signals a lack of central authority, um, a time when tribes were often left to their own devices. Think decentralization, maybe even a bit of a Wild West feel sometimes.
And Judges 18 gives us a really vivid example of this through the story of one tribe, the Danites.
Yeah, the Danites. And the setup is key. We're told right at the start that the tribe of Dan hasn't secured its inheritance yet. They're still looking for land among the other
So
tribes.
they're kind of unsettled, needing a place to call home. Their mission, then, is pretty fundamental.
Absolutely. Survival, identity, they need territory. So how do they go about it? They send out scouts.
Just 5 men?
5 warriors, yeah. Representing their clans, sent out from Zora and Eshtal, their task, explore, find a suitable place.
And their journey almost immediately takes an interesting detour. They end up in the hill country of Ephraim.
Right, specifically at the house of a man named Micah.
And something catches their attention there, doesn't it? A voice.
Yes, they recognized the voice of a young Levite near Micah's house, which is specific enough to make them pause.
Makes you wonder what was distinctive about it.
Hmm.
But they go in, find this Levite, and basically start questioning him.
Yeah, like an interrogation. Who brought you here? What exactly are you doing? Why are you here?
They're clearly intrigued, maybe a bit suspicious.
And the Levite, well, he lays it out pretty simply.
Tells them Micah hired him. He's serving as Micah's personal priest.
And right there, you get a glimpse into the religious situation of the no-king era. Micah's got his own shrine, his own hired priest. It's not exactly standard procedure according to, say, the central sanctuary at Shiloh.
It's very localized, almost privatized religion.
Exactly. So the Danite spies, seeing a priest, someone they think has a connection to the divine, they think, okay, opportunity.
Right. They ask him straight up. Ask God for us, will our journey be successful? They want divine intel.
And the priest gives them what they want to hear. He says, go in peace. Your journey has the Lord's approval.
Now, whether that's genuine prophecy or just, good customer service from the priest.
It's ambiguous, isn't it? But the spies take it as a green light, divine approval secured, at least in their minds.
So, feeling blessed, the 5 spies push on with their mission. Where next?
They head north up to a place called Laish. This is where they really scout out potential territory.
And what do they find in Laish?
Well, the description is interesting. The people are living in safety, like the Sidonians, so seemingly secure, peaceful.
Uh-huh. Sounds idyllic.
The text calls them unsuspecting and secure, and the land itself, prosperous, lacks nothing. It looks like paradise.
But there's always a but in Judges, it seems. What's the downside, or rather, the opportunity the spies see?
Isolation. That's the key vulnerability. They live a long way from Sidon, their supposed model of security, and crucially, they have no relationship with anyone else. No allies.
Ah. So peaceful and prosperous, but alone. In a time with no king, no national army.
Being isolated makes you a sitting duck. If someone stronger decides they want what you have, and the spies spot this weakness immediately.
Okay, so mission accomplished in a way. They found a potential target. They head back to Zora and Eshtal.
Yep, back to their kinsmen. And their report is, let's say, very focused.
Less diplomacy, more here's an easy win.
Pretty much. They emphasize the good stuff. We have seen the land. It is very good. Spacious, lacks nothing.
Selling the dream.
Totally. And then they add the clincher. The people are unsuspecting. They lay out how easy it would be.
And they don't just report, they push for action.
Oh, yeah, it's immediate. Come on, let's attack them. What are you waiting for? Don't hesitate. Go take it. Real urgency there.
And how do they justify this potential aggression?
This is fascinating. They connect it back to the priest's blessing. They claim, God has put into your hands this land. They're framing the planned conquest, based on the vulnerability they observed, as divinely ordained.
Using that ambiguous blessing to justify taking what they want, it really shows how religion could be, well, manipulated in that era.
Absolutely. So the tribe is convinced. They mobilize
How big a force are we talking?
600 men, armed for battle. This is a serious tribal expedition, not just a small raid.
They set out from Zora and Eshtal again.
And on their way, they camp near Kiriath Jearim in Judah. The text even gives us a little historical note.
Okay.
It says the place was called Mahana Dan, the camp of Dan, after that. It's a reminder that these movements left traces on the landscape.
Cool detail. So from that camp, they continue on, and their route takes them. Where?
Back to the hill country of Ephraim, and wouldn't you know it, right back to Micah's house.
Uh-oh. This doesn't sound like a social call.
Not at all. The 5 spies who'd been there before, they remembered something else at Micah's place, something they decided they needed.
The religious artifacts.
Exactly. They tell the 600 men about the stuff inside. The ephod, these household gods, a carved image, a cast idol, Micah's whole personal religious setup.
All the things the Levite was tending.
Right. And the spies basically tell the others, now you know what to do. The implication is clear. We're taking it.
So it's a planned theft.
Looks like it. The 5 original spies go into the house, grab the items. While they're doing that, the 600 armed warriors stand guard at the gate. Intimidation factor, high.
What about the priest? He must see this happening.
He does, and he calls out, what are you doing? He challenges them.
And the Danites?
Their first reaction is just, be quiet, don't say a word. Shutting him down.
But then they pivot, right? They don't just silence him.
No, they immediately make him an offer, a job offer, essentially. Come with us, be our father and priest.
Wow. From serving one guy to serving a whole tribe, that's quite the promotion.
And they spell it out for him. Isn't it better for you to serve a tribe and clan in Israel than just one man's household? Appealing directly to his ambition.
And how does the Levite react to having his employer robbed, but being offered a better job by the robbers?
The text is blunt. He was glad. No hesitation. He takes the ephod, the gods, the idols, the stolen goods, and just goes along with them.
Incredible. Loyalty seems pretty flexible here.
It really highlights how roles and even sacred objects could be treated as commodities, influenced by self-interest. The priest sees a better opportunity and takes it.
So now the Danites have their stolen idols and their newly recruited, ethically flexible priest. They leave Micah's place.
And they leave carefully. They put the children, livestock, and their possessions in the front, a defensive formation.
Smart. They probably expect Micah won't just let this go.
And they're right. Micah gets his neighbors together, forms a posse, basically, and chases after the Danites. He catches up.
The confrontation. What happens?
Micah shouts after them. He's obviously distraught. He's lost his gods, his priest, his whole religious setup.
How do the Danites respond to being called out?
They turn, almost feigning ignorance, maybe mocking him. What's the matter with you? Why'd you bring all these men?
That's adding insult to injury.
And Micah's reply is just heartbreakingly honest. You took the gods I made and my priest and went away. What else do I have? How can you ask what's wrong? He sees them as his creations, his property.
It shows how personally invested he was in this setup. But the Danites aren't moved.
Not one bit. They respond with a direct threat. Don't argue with us, they say, or some of our hot-tempered guys might attack you, and you and your whole family could lose your lives.
Pure intimidation. Might makes right.
Textbook example of the no-king reality. There's no higher authority for Micah to appeal to. It's his small group against 600 armed men.
So what can he do?
He sees he's outnumbered, overpowered. The text says he saw they were too strong, so he turns around, goes home, defeated.
Wow. Just like that, the Danites get away with it.
Completely. They continue north with their stolen goods and their priest, heading straight for Laish.
And when they get there,
they do exactly what the spies recommended. They attack the city, described again as peaceful and unsuspecting. They put the inhabitants to the sword and burn the city down.
Total destruction. And again, no one helps Laish.
No. The text repeats the reason: their isolation. Far from Sidon, no relationships with anyone else. They were completely vulnerable.
Where was Laish located again?
In a valley near Beth Rehob. After destroying it, the Danites don't just move on.
They rebuild.
Yes, they rebuild the city on the same spot and settle there. This becomes the Danite homeland.
And then they rename it, right?
They do. They call it Dan, after their ancestor, wiping away the memory of Laish.
So they have their land. Now, what about their religion? They brought those stolen items with them?
And they set them up. The text says the Danites set up the carved image for themselves. Micah's stolen idols become the official cult objects for the tribe of Dan in their new city.
And who serves as priests? Is it still the Levite they acquired?
It is, and the text gives us his name and lineage, which is stunning. Jonathan, son of Gershom, the son of Moses.
Wait, the grandson of Moses. The Moses.
That's what the text says. The grandson of the great lawgiver is now the priest presiding over a worship center founded on theft and featuring idols.
That's deeply ironic and profoundly troubling.
It absolutely underscores the religious confusion and compromise of the era, and this wasn't a short-lived thing.
How long did it last?
Jonathan and his sons served as priests for the Danites until the time of the captivity of the land. And pointedly, the text adds they kept using Micah's idol all the time the house of God was in Shiloh.
So while the official tabernacle, the legitimate center of worship, was operating in Shiloh.
The tribe of Dan had set up this rival, illegitimate sanctuary in the north using stolen idols, served by a descendant of Moses. It's a stark picture of religious division and decay.
It really brings us back to that opening phrase, Israel had no king. You see the consequences ripple through everything.
Absolutely. Tribal self-interest, justification of violence and theft, the co-opting of religious figures and objects. It all seems to flow from that lack of central authority and guidance.
The Danites saw an opportunity, rationalized it with a priest blessing, used force to take land and religious items, and set up their own system. The ethical lines are incredibly blurred, if not erased.
And the poor people of Laish just pay the price for being peaceful and isolated in a dangerous time. Their story is a cautionary tale about vulnerability when there's no overarching protection.
So this whole chapter, Judges 18, is just a powerful, raw snapshot of life in that period. Ambition, opportunism, violence, questionable religious practices. It's all there.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? When formal structures break down or aren't there to begin with, how do people decide what's right? What guides their actions when it's just every man for himself or every tribe for itself?
And maybe the really unsettling question it leaves us with is this. What does it signal about the heart of a community or its spiritual health when sacred roles and objects become just possessions? Tools to be acquired and used for power or convenience, even by those with prestigious religious heritage.